for nothing. So it's a brutal, unconscious way of destroying all of the phony, stupid beliefs that have been foisted on us for 2,500 years by religion and by the culture. And only they don't realize that it's initiation. They come back and they know now the underbelly of the culture. And they're stripped and they're ready, to receive this other world, this other archetypal world, the Alamami Thal.
Where did this come from? It don't mean nothing. I don't understand.
Well, can I just finish? Save your questions. It's an excellent question. I'll refer you to the website. Now the other way to do this to lose the story, how you get out of the story, is a much nicer way, and it's a much happier way, and that's the ecstatic visions of an interior life. And that's to meditate. And if you read the stories of the Sufis, there was a wonderful article in the Smithsonian recently, last year, I guess, I don't know, about the ecstatic dancing, and they experience their God, Allah, within. And they are totally at odds with the Taliban. Every fundamentalist religion is pretty much identical to each other. The Taliban and the Christian fundamentalists, there's very little difference. They want the women in burqas, they want them all hidden, and they want rules and orders, and they want male domination and male authority. So the way to get beyond the story is through mystical practice, union with the divine, which is a much more fun way. But there's this extreme antagonism, and it's building up to a terrible, terrible tension now between the mystical, and if you look over history and over the history of religion, you will see these two currents going side by side. The literalism of fundamentalism, where there is no symbolic awareness, and then you have the mystical, where the God is within every human being. And then you have the New Age fundamentalists, which misinterpret this and say, create your own reality and you caused your cancer. And that's not where I'm coming from at all. Okay, so that's the juice of this. And there's a whole lot I didn't do with this.
But to just about Julianne's question, it is a cliche though, isn't it, that they adopt? Is that what you're saying?
It's a cliche that who adopts what?
The soldiers I'm talking about.
Don't mean nothing.
Well, they just did. They just noticed that there was a correspondence of the entering of that phrase into their language while they were in Vietnam that corresponded to the realization that none of it meant anything. That there was no patriotism, no God, no motherhood. That all of this meant nothing.
So they don't know how it got there. It don't mean nothing.
Well, what I would do is look up that phrase on. Just Google that phrase, the collapse of the cultural immortality system.
Wouldn't the simple word just be detachment? That's the venerable word.
Good luck, honey. Good luck trying to get detached from this. Good luck.
No.
You mean
that seems to be a description of what's happening.
Oh, you mean in
guys
war?
Said,
Absolutely, real detachment. But all these New Age people, when you go to these ashrams, and they say, "Oh, be detached from your desires."
Yeah.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. Just try to get detached one day. Just try.
But there are meditation practices
Absolutely.
that cultivate a sense of some kind of detachment. I mean, that's
Buddhism
a real
or any of
Buddhist.
the Eastern religions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, be careful, because so many of them are based upon a monotheistic model, where you have as a destination enlightenment or a trance state. And once you have a step-by-step process, once you have like something that is going to lead to enlightenment, you ain't there. Because it doesn't go step by step. It's not in the future. The Alam Thal is right here. The intersection of the two worlds is right here. And I've got this fabulous thing on the temple. Oh my God. Where SOPHIA is the temple, but I think we're running out of time. But if we have time, I'll do the temple. I
We'll
want
have some more discussion.
Okay, one last thing.
Kathleen, you always sort of pose this as a conflict. Because I remember your talks from earlier times or whatever, but it's always posed as a conflict. Right?
There's what?
It's always posed as a conflict.
You mean between the mystical
Between these
and
polarities, yeah.
Well, the conflict is perceived from the point of view of the guys on the literal side, because they're not multidimensional, not from the point of view of the mystics. The mystics are ecumenical. If you read about what's your question?
I was just going to try to
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
I'm
he's-
just gonna try to suggest maybe
Okay.
that, because having looked at this thing myself really, and it comes out in a certain way architecturally, in the struggle between centrally planned buildings and linear buildings in the church,
Yeah.
right? In
Oh,
the history
cool.
of the church.
Yeah.
Right, and these are these two psychologies. But what it seems like is that the psychologies have always been there. They're, and I think you said something like this just a minute ago, that these things have always been there.
Yes,
That there's this
you can see the
tension.
currents.
Yeah.
Yeah, all throughout
and that
history.
in looking back
Even
on
in
it,
Egypt,
yeah,
2,400 BC.
in every
yeah.
civilization, because civilization is a design, it's not natural.
Right.
And so there's always going to be a tension in there between having to adhere to the design, or we can call it bullshit if we want, or we can call it the lie. Plato calls it the noble lie, right?
Yeah.
In the Republic, right? He says you have to tell them a noble lie. How do you govern people? You tell them the noble lie.
Right.
Right? That's the noble lie. Noble lie is you go to kill for a higher purpose.
Right, that's the
But, there
noble
is,
law.
but really, the purpose isn't there. We now, we now understand that these purposes are just made up, really. They're
Yes.
not really purposes anymore. So there's kind of an abuse going on. But that these polarities have sort of always existed, and there's always been a tension there. And that it's the tension between people, not even between men and women necessarily, but or
No,
between
no,
masculine
it's not
and
between
feminine.
men and women.
But
Look at Sarah Palin.
but it's
She's as fundamentalist as you can get.
no,
Yeah,
Well, the fact
yeah.
That's exactly right. It's not about men and women. It's about some people who feel the need to control. I could say social life or civilized life or
Right.
something like that. But the people who are actually designing society.
Yes.
Because they're always there. They're always working and they're always designing, and it's as alive today as it ever was. And the people who have a kind of more contemplative or more internal focus. The people who have to govern are externally driven,
Right.
and they don't. see
And the model
mythic
for that is the
structure.
monotheism. The model for the
It's
guys
more
with the
suited.
agenda who
Well-
want to take your money or
It's
exploit
more
you.
suited, yeah. It's more suited,
Yeah.
and whether it's
They
the
wanna
big
be the
guy
god,
upstairs, whether it's
and
the big
you're the
guy
most-
upstairs,
yeah.
or it's the big guy on the throne, or it's the guy with the big gun, or whatever, or the person. It doesn't have to be a man. It can just be this person
Right.
in this position, or
Yeah.
some kind of persona in that position. But then so there's a kind of outward directed existence, but there's also a kind of inward directed existence.
Yes.
Right. And so there's always been this tension in any civilized community. There's always going to be.
Here's the tension he's talking about.
Yeah.
This is from William Blake.
Yeah.
This is the Sun Woman of Revelation. And again,
Oh,
this
yes.
is on this.
Yeah,
You
sure.
can. There's links to this on my. I